Hi, I'm Chris, and this is dinneratmyplace.us. Today for freebie video, we're going to make some salsa. This is Pico de Gallo, which loosely translated is salsa. This is a salsa you don't have to cook, it's easy. Just dice it up. Don't have to measure anything. If you can count, if you can cut stuff, then you can make this. So, what you need for tools, you need a bowl and something to mix with. You need a knife, good chef's knife, and you'll need a cutting board, okay? Ingredients, and this is enough for, me. If you're making it for more people, you can go ahead and multiply everything by however many people are gonna be there, because this will go fast. What you want for 2 people usually: 4 tomatoes, a lime, half an onion, 2 cloves of garlic that are about that big, so you can see it's about the same size as my thumb, and I have average sized thumbs. You'll want 1 chili pepper, and I have about 7 sprigs of cilantro. You can have more or less. And of course, a little bit of salt. Also, you're going to want to eat this with tortilla chips. Make sure you get the greasiest ones you can find. Just look at them. They look like your mom would frown on you eating them, then go ahead and buy them. Okay. So, first things first, tomatoes. Get Roma or plum tomatoes. That is what traditionally goes in this dish. You'll want to pick some tomatoes that are firm. They can be a little bit lighter. In fact, these tomatoes aren't quite totally ripe. They're not in season here, but they're still good. Still taste fine. For tomatoes, just look at the butt end of it. Slice that right off to the side. And then go ahead and slice that in half so they're flat. Then once again across so they're quartered. And then just go ahead and slice that into a 1/4 inch thick little wedges like that. That's how I like to have it. You might want to have it thinner too. Just depends on what you're putting it on. If you're putting it on something like fish tacos, slice it even thinner. Doing it on chips though, I like it nice and chunky. Just drop that on. Some of these seeds are going to fall out, and that's okay. You don't really need them for this. Slice it up. You'll notice I'm doing a terrible job of slicing it up. It's because it doesn't matter for this dish at all. When you're doing onions, make sure you use a white onion. Don't go for the yellow, the sweet, any of those. White onion is, for one, it's authentic. The other reason is it just tastes better in salsa. If you're having uncooked onions, white is usually the best. So slice off the end. Then slice it right in half. We'll set this off to the side. Then get your knife and just go down the side so you can slice that paper off. And there's always, on onions, there's like a hard, like that first layer that's not the dry paper is always really hard. Just take that right off. You don't want to eat that. And then, with onions, when you finally slice them, there's a trick I do. You want to slice it into strips. Don't go all the way. But if you'll notice, I'm just doing like maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe 3/16 slices. Just down the edge. Don't go all the way though. And then you rotate it 90 degrees. Same thing, just to where it almost falls apart. If it does fall apart, it's all right. You'll be okay. Just making kind of an onion blossom here. And then tip it over on its side, and then really thin shavings of onion just comes pouring off. The reason you want to do this is most people say they don't like onions. That's not true because onions are in everything. But most people, if they see onions, then they'll complain. So just slice them up really fine and they disappear and no one's the wiser. But onions are the key to a lot of flavors and a lot of dishes. So then, once you cut the onion up, then you'll do what's called a rock chop, which is where you start with the tip of your knife on the cutting board, and then you just go back and forth. That's going to finely slice up any stragglers in the onions that you didn't chop up the first go around. Just rock it back and forth with one hand on the tip of your blade and the other holding it in the pinch grip, just like we always talk about. Get it as fine as you want. I love onions, but if you're going to be eating this with people who don't like onions, then slice it up as fine as you can. You just go back and forth with that rock chop. And that, if you have a good knife, is actually faster than putting it in the food processor, especially when you take into account all the cleaning that you have to do with those things. So, because it has a lot of little pieces, bring your cutting board over your bowl. Just slides right in. All right. Next, we're going to do our garlic. Quick trick. First, you want to kind of twist the garlic. That one broke. You twist it, kind of breaks the paper, and then you run it between your palms. That loosens all the paper, and then it's a lot easier to peel. Just take all that paper right off. So, something to know too with the garlic. First of all, you don't want to smash garlic in salsa because you're trying to minimize how much of the garlic oil gets in there. And second, if you're going to refrigerate this salsa and eat it the next day, which it will taste a little different, maybe only put 1 clove of garlic in because that garlic flavor is going to intensify overnight. And it depends. If you love garlic though, then who cares? Throw another clove in. This can be a little tedious. So if you have a roommate, make sure they do this for you. All right, got our garlic. So you can slice it up as fine as you want, but the finer you slice it, the more it's going to taste like garlic. So if you don't like garlic, just do slices like that. Don't chop it up. Don't cut it into little fine pieces. Just a little slice like that. You can toss that in. And hopefully you don't bite into it. We're going to do it half and half. So I'm just going to do some more thin slices right there. And really, when you're eating this, you're not even going to notice. If you want it to taste more garlicky though, you'll do kind of the same trick that we did with the onion, where you'll take your garlic and you'll slice into strips in one direction with your chef's knife. Flip it over, do more strips, and then just chop all those little pieces off. Make sure you get your knuckles against that knife so you don't cut your fingertips. And if you want it even finer, again, you just do the rock chop. Breaks it all up. Good. Toss that in. Chili peppers. We're only going to use one, but I got 4 because I want to illustrate a point. Just depending on how it looks and how they feel, you can sometimes tell how spicy they're going to be, and sometimes you can't. But if you don't like it spicy, you'll want to avoid chili peppers that have veins on them, like this one. So we won't use that one. You want to avoid chili peppers that have red on them, like this one. Set that aside. And if they're starting to look wrinkly, this might be hard to see from the camera, but if you can see wrinkles on them, sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're not. It's hard to tell. So we're just going to use one. Also, when you're handling chili peppers, usually you want to wear gloves. Especially if you're going to use the restroom anytime soon, or you may get a burning sensation. Don't touch your eyes after you cut these up. Make sure you scrub your hands really well or wear some rubber gloves because just the acids in here will really burn. So, chili pepper. So again, we'll slice that tip off. This one actually looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to slice that in half. Right? And you'll see this white part. And you'll see the seeds. That's the hottest part of it. So if you want, just go ahead and cut out all that white stuff. That's called the vein. Cut out the seeds. Get rid of all that. That's just going to make your salsa really, really hot. I use my fingers because I'm used to it, but you may want to use a paring knife. And again, just go ahead and cut out that vein. Scrape out all the seeds you can. 1 or 2 won't kill you, but get as many out as you can if you don't like it hot or you're not used to spicy food. Alright, we're going to scrape all that junk off. And then with these, same thing. You want to do little slices, so you can cut them lengthwise into maybe 1/4-inch strips. And then just go ahead and slice it. Same thing here. Little strips. Slice down. And if you don't want to bite into a spicy chili pepper, you can, again, just do the rock chop and it'll get it even finer. So we're going to throw that in our bowl. Ready for cilantro. Most people just hack this up or they throw it in the food processor. I like to just strip off the leaves because I don't think the stem tastes that great. So just one by one, you want to grab these. Just pull it between your fingers. Try to pull the leaves off of the stem as much as possible. The last little stems aren't going to give. They're too small, but you're not going to taste those. Just yank off as many of the leaves as you can. And cilantro also is optional. Some people don't think that, but most salsas do not have cilantro in them. Tear as much of the stem out of here as you can. And a little bit of stem won't hurt you. I just think it's gross. Now we got our cilantro. Just bunch it up as best you can. And this we're just going to rough chop. Just make sure you start with your tip on the cutting board and slide forward. And that will cleanly slice through all the leaves and all the stems. Give you nice little cilantro confetti. There we go. Gotta learn how to use a knife. That's how people know you have game in the kitchen. So lime. want to slice it in half. You want to slice it between the two ends. So you got a point here, you got a point there. Hold those, go in between those. So you pinch it with your fingers on those points. Slice right through. And we're only going to use half this lime. If you have an old lime, kind of dry, just throw it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. It'll get nice and juicy. So just squirt that in. Squirt that in. If you don't have a lot of forearm strength, you can get a spoon and jab it in there and wriggle it around. That'll help get some of the juice out. So now, we're going to gently fold it. So start from the front and pull your spoon back and flip it over. You don't want to mash all the stuff in here. Just pull it back and flip it over. Again, pull it back, you're scraping the bottom, flip it over. Maybe turn your bowl, just get everything nice and mixed up. We're almost done. That's looking pretty good, right? You got the lime juice and the tomato juice in the bottom. That's that juice that you're used to. All those pretty colors. Just mix that up. Really heavy on the tomato, which is exactly what you want. Give that a quick shake. And now, final step is salting. So you want a spoon so you can taste it. And go ahead and give it a taste before you put salt on it. And that is really bland. So just do like a pinch at a time. Maybe 2 pinches to start off with. You don't want to oversalt this. And keep in mind, you got salt on your chips too. So you don't want to oversalt it and overdo it because it might be a little too much. And then, that's right, same spoon. One more pinch and we're there. Something else too, if you want it a little bit more tangy, you just squeeze in some more lime. Cooking really is just all about experimenting and deciding what you like and what you don't like. And don't be scared, because if you like something, odds are somebody else will too. Just gonna mix that up. You know, there's some traditional dishes and they're traditional for a reason, because they're pretty good and they always work. But don't be scared to try stuff. All right. One last taste. Fresh salsa. This is dinner@myplace.us. And please subscribe because we really need the money. Thanks.